We're going to be considering the argument as a rhetorical pattern and as a genre. The purpose of an argument is to persuade your audience of the merit of your position or proposal. We'll talk about what those things mean in just a moment. But you're attempting, through argument, to move the audience to a belief, a position, or an action. We're going to look at the textbook and see what it shows us. Page 198 of Writing Today has this illustration of the organization of an essay that is an argument. It shows you that, as always, you have an introduction and a conclusion, but you will notice that in both of the organizational structures that is offered to you, that you address the opposition. That is, you summarize the opposing position and you address it, both its strengths and its weaknesses. And so that's what it means when it tells you of within the characteristics that you are knowledgeable, that you are speaking from an informed position, that you have an awareness of the background and the positions of both sides, that you address the opposition, that you summarize the opposition, you acknowledge it, and you respond to it. So if we think in those terms, the purpose and the characteristics, that we are attempting to show our audience that our position is plausible and one that should be considered, that we are speaking as someone who is knowledgeable, then we have to think in terms of what is arguable. Facts are not arguable. Water boils at a certain temperature, it freezes at a certain temperature. Those are easily verifiable pieces of information and they are not arguable. Opinions that are based on taste or preference, blue is my favorite color, or Brussels sprouts are a vegetable that I don't like, that is based on taste or preference and that is not arguable. However, opinions that are based on judgments, opinions that are based on positions that come from factual information and other kinds of legitimate support are arguable. And that's what we're going to be looking at for our essay and for the research that we do to support it. Within that legitimacy, we want to talk about two different kinds of arguments. And these two types of arguments are the position and the proposal. Your textbook actually has a separate chapter about proposals. But I want you to look specifically at the topic and the purpose in this chart that I've provided. The topic of a position argument identifies moral or ethical aspects of an issue and offers reasons for taking a particular position. It examines that issue and argues in defense of the position. A proposal identifies a problem and offers a solution for it. Notice that the verbs of a position paper are present tense. The verbs of a proposal paper are obligation verbs, such as shall, should, and must. Notice that the persona, that is the fact that you are reasonable and knowledgeable, is the same. You begin and argue in much the same way, but the focus is a little different. In a position paper, your focus is on whether or not your position is valid. You use support that is convincing, reasons, examples, facts, personal observation, anecdotes or stories, opinions of experts or authorities, scholarly publications, which we'll discuss in a little, quotations from books, articles, or documentaries, and the use of logic, ethics, and emotion, which we refer to as appeals. For a proposal, you are focusing on defining the problem, explaining why the solution will work. Either one of these is legitimate for your paper. In both, you address the opposition, and in both, you conclude by convincing your reader that your position is plausible and that it is one that they should consider. So as we noted, with both of these, we are supporting. We are not proving, we are supporting. And our argument uses evidence from reliable sources. We refer to research and scholarly sources as reliable for a number of reasons. Persuasion uses appeals, which is logic, ethics, and emotion. Logos, logic, pathos, emotion, ethos, credibility, if you think ethics. Persuasion is based in a common ground of belief and values, such as morality, fairness, and justice, and it is used to demonstrate that the author's conclusion is valid or plausible. So argument uses strong evidence. Persuasion uses evidence, logic, plus other appeals, appeals to emotion and appeals to credibility to build the case for their position. You're going to use an argument, its purpose, its characteristics, one of the types, and the definitions to write an essay. This essay is going to be a documented essay, which means it uses source material. It is going to be a persuasive argument, which means that it uses evidence and appeals as support for position. This paper is due toward the end of the semester, but we need to be formulating our understanding of an argument in order to write the paper and gather the information we need. The last thing I want you to consider when we think in terms of persuasion and argument is debate versus dialogue. An argument provides an opportunity for us to debate or to dialogue. A debate, if you'll notice here, means that the participant's viewpoint is affirmed. That is, that the argument supports a position that has been taken. It assumes that there is a correct answer and implies that there is a conclusion, that you can resolve the issue. An argument also provides an opportunity to begin a dialogue, which enlarges and may even change the participant's viewpoint. A dialogue also assumes that there is a workable solution, but it remains open-ended. Think in terms of entering into a conversation about a topic. Think in terms of entering into a dialogue and not a debate. Again, this is not about being right. This is not about proving a position. This is about investigating and looking at options and information in an objective, open-minded way in order to come to a conclusion that you present to your audience. So when we talk about a paper being persuasive, we talk about it being argumentative and persuasive versus expository or informational. An expository essay seeks to explain or inform. An argumentative essay uses evidence to support a claim, uses appeals, and helps us to come to understand the truth as we best can about a topic. Now notice the reasons why this is important for you to understand. Our next two writing assignments are going to be a rhetorical analysis. We're going to evaluate arguments and look at how they convince you or how they persuade you. And we're also going to be writing an essay. You're choosing a topic at the end of the week that will be appropriate for an argumentative, persuasive essay. Something that you can do research on in order to gather information to come to your final conclusion.